Okay, today we're doing surface area and volume of spheres. And so with spheres, it's actually kind of easy. You just have two formulas to memorize, and then it's just plugging in the radius, and then that's it. So with the first example that we have right here, again, to find my surface area, it's going to be 4 pi r squared. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and plug in my radius. In this case, they give me, you can't really see that very well in the picture, but that's supposed to be a diameter of 10, which means my radius is 5. So I have 4 pi times 5 squared. And so, again, this is one of those things where I could leave it in terms of pi if I wanted to by just multiplying the numbers by each other. So I could do 4 times 5 squared, and that would give me 100 pi. And if I wanted to actually go ahead and multiply it out, then I would get 314.16 square meters. To find my volume, again, same thing. I can go 4/3 pi times my radius, which is 5, and then just careful, it's to the third power. So when I do that, again, I get 4/3 pi times my 5 to the third power. This is radius to the third. 5 to the third power, and so when I do that, again, I can leave it in terms of pi by multiplying 4/3 by 5 to the third power. When I do that, I get 166 2/3 pi, and again, if I wanted to write that as a decimal, I can actually go ahead and multiply it out, and I get 523.60, and then since it's volume, it's going to be cubic meters. So there's my volume, and there's my surface area. With the second one, same thing. I have a radius of 6, and so I can go ahead and find the surface area and volume. So surface area, 4 pi times my radius, which is 6 squared. So when I do that, again, leaving it in terms of pi, I get 144 pi. And then if I wanted to actually go ahead and multiply that out, I'd get 452.39 square meters. So there's my surface area. And then with my volume, again, my volume is 4/3 pi r cubed. And so my radius, again, is 6. So if I want to leave it in terms of pi, I get 288 pi. And then if I go ahead and multiply it out to get a decimal, I get 904.78, again, cubic meters for my volume. And then the last one up on the top, we've got a diameter of 16, which means that my radius is going to end up being 8. So my surface area ends up being 4 pi times 8 squared. When I do that, I get 256 pi, leaving it in terms of pi. When I go ahead and multiply it out, I get 804.25. And these are cubic inches, or sorry, square inches, because I'm talking about surface area. And if I wanted to find my volume, 4/3 pi times my radius, which is 8 to the third power. Again, leaving it in terms of pi, I would get my volume to be 682 2/3 pi. And then if I go ahead and multiply that out, I get 2,144.66 cubic inches. The problem that we have here that's a little tricky is one where I'm working myself backwards. So given my volume, I'm going to work backwards to find my surface area. So to do that, I have to work backwards to find out my radius and then find my surface area. So again, volume is going to be 4/3 pi r cubed. And so if my volume is 4,200, I can plug that in, work myself backwards to find out what my radius is. So the first thing that I want to do is divide both sides by 4/3, and when you do that, in your calculator, make sure that you put parentheses around your 4/3. So I would do 4,200 divided by, and then it's got to be parentheses 4 divided by 3. When I do that, I get 3,150 is equal to pi r to the third power. And once I'm there, I want to go ahead and divide both sides by pi. When I do that, I get 1,000. Oops. Something weird happened. So when I divide both sides by pi, what I end up getting is I get 1,002.68. If I rounded it, you don't have to round it. So then I have r to the third power, and this is something that I don't think we've done. So if I want to get rid of a r to the third power, what I want to do is I want to take the cubic root of both sides. So don't do square root, I want to do cubic root. And so if I'm doing that on my calculator, what I'll do is if you have a graphing calculator, you'll hit the math button and then go down to where you see this cubic root sign. So it'll be like a 3 in front with a like a square root sign with a radical. And so then you can take the cubic root of 1,002.68, and when you do that, you get 10.01 if I'm rounding to the nearest hundredth. Make sure that you plug that into your calculator to make sure that you know how to do the cubic root. Once we're there, once I find my radius, then I can kind of work myself backwards to end up finding my surface area. So my surface area is 4 pi times my radius, which is 10.01 squared. And so when I plug that in, I'm just going to get a decimal out. My surface area ends up being 1,259.15 square feet. So again, this is the one that's a little bit tricky, so just make sure that you understand where I'm getting my numbers from. Make sure you're plugging them into your calculator to make sure you're getting the same answers.